And we're live. Welcome to Lakers Late Night. I am Anthony Irwin. I literally just realized I'm wearing a Lakers sweater right now. Just hit me. That's embarrassing. I am joined tonight by Jamison Miller, or at Alien Nose Job. I just kind of wanted to start with where that came from.
Yeah, it's a super deep cut Simpsons reference actually. It's one of the shows that Troy McClure, the guy that was the like recurring actor, like whatever that does all the educational programs and stuff on the show. It was making fun of all the like ridiculous shows that Fox was showing in the '90s. I think there really was a show called like Alien Plastic Surgery or something like that, and so it was just like making fun of that alien nose job.
Yeah, that's cool. I kind of what did you say it might be on Silver Screen and Roll? And this is
So yeah,
Harrison
he's
Faigen.
not a nasal surgeon to the monsters.
Right. If
Good
I
to
was,
know.
then whose powers would I have stolen? Because that's how the Monstars.
No, I mean maybe that's what's happened with this Lakers team is that the Monstars took all their talent and gave it to I don't know. Man, the talent for the talent of the
They
Lakers
had
that would actually
talent.
be yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like the special talent of the Lakers that would be stolen is like how to depress an entire fan base. That's where
I'm
we
pretty
are.
sure that if you were listening to Adele's new album while watching this Lakers game, you would just like melt into a puddle of tears. I can't think of anything more depressing than that currently.
I played Dido's White Flag. I don't know.
Oh, nice. Classic, classic.
That's also because one of the lyrics from that is "I will go down with the ship," and that's what Byron is saying every time Kobe calls him. It's just "I will go down with this ship." All right, we'll get into the game tonight, which nobody was looking into. I don't know if anybody was actually, hey, all right, the Lakers play tonight. Who do they play? The Warriors. Great. I don't know if anybody had that response going into the game, Jameson. What was your expectation level? Were they going to lose by 70? What were you thinking?
Well, it was just such a magical evening. So great to be a part of history. This is one of those games where literally nothing had to give, and it didn't. Like worst team meets best team. Arguably worst team. I don't know, but nothing. It's like
Philly would like a word.
Yeah, yeah. My bad. Excuse me. It's like it's like the great and all knowledgeable owner of the Sacramento Kings says, basketball is like jazz, and if that's the case, then I guess the Warriors were like, the Miles Davis All Stars, and the Lakers were like, like in fourth grade when everyone learns how to play the recorder, like that's kind of like what they were, and the Warriors were just bebopping and scatting all over the place while the Lakers just, it was awful. Pretty much.
It was an asthmatic fourth grader who was playing the recorder.
Right.
It's like you couldn't take breath in, and that's how that music came out. Harrison, did this exceed or match your expectations for the depression that would be stirred up by watching the Lakers play the Warriors?
It exceeded it. I did not realize. I went into this game fully expecting them to get blasted, and I was still sad afterwards. It's just, I don't even know what to say. It's just everything about this team right now is sad. The playing time for the young guys is sad. The shot distribution is sad. Watching Kobe go down like this is sad, and watching Byron Scott, supposed to be his friend, let him is probably the most sad.
That was the vibe I got more than anything, and actually we'll kind of alter the trajectory of the show a little bit. It was
Do we
weird. We
ever
had
not?
factions. Yeah, I know. I don't even know why I planned the show, but when I was watching social media, when I was watching Twitter tonight, there were kind of two factions. There was the faction of complete a-holes that are just out there like, oh, it's so great to see Kobe like this. And I'm like, all right, well, you guys can all F yourselves. And then there was the people who were like, this is literally the most depressing thing I've watched all season. As Kobe goes 1 for 14, matches the worst shooting night of his career. The last game he'll ever play at Oracle Arena, he scores 4 points. And I just don't understand where people can come from and say one of the greatest players that will ever play basketball and they're happy to watch him play like this. That's lost on me. What do you think is going into that, Harrison?
I think it's like you talk about with those anonymously sourced front office articles. It's the same thing. It's Kobe beat up on a lot of people for a long time, and so it's like any great player. Kind of haters are going to come out of the woodwork and take enjoyment out of the fall.
Yeah, that's. I mean, are you? Is there anything deeper to that? Do you think, Jameson?
No, I think Harrison hit it on the head. I mean, there's just Kobe has tormented so many fan bases for so long and reveled in it. You know what I mean? That's what he always used to say. He loved playing on the road. He loved shutting up opposing, arenas, hitting a big shot. And now that he's kind of, in a position of weakness, everyone's just kind of pouncing. Some people seem to have exercised a little bit more restraint, but yeah, it really is a little bit jarring to see so many people really just crapping all over him right now.
Yeah, I had to actually mute a few people because it's just lost on me. I don't care when LeBron's game falls off a cliff and we start seeing this kind of stuff from him. I'm not going to enjoy that either. I don't understand where the obscene, almost personal hatred kind of comes into play. There was a middle ground where it was a bunch of people saying I hate Kobe, but this is just making me sad. And I think that's, regardless of how you feel about him, there's no other emotion that I don't think you can feel and say, yeah, watching Kobe play like that just sucks. It's just a kick to the nuts after every missed mid-range or three-point jumper. Go ahead, Harrison.
And there are some people, I think, that I think a lot of it is an older generation that kind of sees Kobe as this me-first gunner. He's a selfish guy who demanded Shaq be traded. All these things about kind of some of them misconceptions, some of them exaggerated, some of them accurate. But he's not the kind of guy that really cares if people like him or not. And so he carries himself how he's going to carry himself. And I think that that's also lost him a few fans around the league.
That's highly possible too. Just talking about, because there was a lot of, I saw a lot of, Michael Jordan, Kobe comparisons, Michael Jordan and Washington, Kobe comparison right now. I don't remember feeling this depressed when I was watching Michael play. I don't think Michael reached this level of bad.
He was way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
it's not even close.
Not even close. And Darius over at Foreign Blue and Gold, I think, tweeted out too, don't even compare the two. Michael Jordan had played 10,000 less minutes at that point in his career than Kobe has. It's just not even close to a fair comparison.
Right. I
believe he was still younger.
Well, and there's also the whole Kobe has Byron literally poking and prodding him. Go ahead, keep shooting, bro. You're good. You're playing.
I like these shots that you're taking. You've earned the right.
Look,
yeah.
Kobe privilege is a serious problem in the NBA.
He's already said tonight. He expressed confidence in Kobe getting out of his slump. Admittedly, he'd like to have him shoot fewer threes. So that's kind of progress, maybe.
There we go. Baby steps.
Actually, no, never mind. Jordan was 39 in his last season, but he was still much better than Kobe is right now. He was scoring 20 points a game on 44.5% shooting, which obviously isn't Jordan, but that's still a decent NBA player.
Right. I would completely agree. I feel like Byron is handling. I was always a smaller kid in grade school, and if I was ever paired up with a bigger bully kind of kid, for a group project, you always had to pick your words carefully. With it's it'd be nice if you could do just a little, That's how Kobe or Byron criticizes Kobe's game at this point. He might turn it around. We'll see. I guess I'm doing that extra bit on that project. We did see some positive stuff from D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle. They both shot 50% from the floor, as you said before the show, Jameson. We wound up seeing D'Angelo Russell get benched. But what made those guys successful that you could see?
Well, they looked like they were looking for their shots. The shots Julius did hit were actually tough shots. He hit some high arcing, kind of fading away shots early on in the game. It was kind of frustrating though, to be honest. It doesn't seem like he and D'Angelo and Julius are actually like really running pick and rolls together. They kind of run a half pick and roll, and then he'll like toss it to Julius for an ISO at the top of the key, and it's like we still don't really know what kind of pick and roll combination they can really be at this point because they don't like run it all the way through. It seems like.
Right.
The thing that
feel
I've noticed with Julius a lot too is he's not really that quick of a decision maker yet. He likes to pause with the ball and kind of survey the floor and see what's going on, see where guys are rotating. You notice during games there are times when guys are calling for it and he's still kind of looking around trying to figure out what to do. It's not to criticize his basketball intelligence, it's just that's probably the way he's played his entire life, where he's the center of everything on offense and you just wait and you see what the defense gives you and then you make a read. But it's a little bit too slow for NBA play sometimes.
Yeah, and I think it's a complete waste of D'Angelo's pick and roll abilities to run, that kind of pick and roll where it's not even, it's like a pick and post up for an ISO. It's a pick and put me in a position where I can have the ball at the elbow. Even the Horns kind of sets that they run where you have the dual pick and roll running and you have, Roy Hibbert diving to the basket or whoever the five is on the court there. That's kind of thrown off by Randall's desire to just hold the ball up at the free throw line. D'Angelo Russell against Steph Curry, I thought tonight they weren't matched up too much. Clarkson drew the short straw or the long straw, however you want to divvy that. But what, those brief moments that you saw them on the court together, Harrison, what did you notice on those two players? Perfect. All right, James.
To be honest, I didn't notice them matched up a whole lot, and really Curry was just getting whatever he wanted with whoever was guarding him. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty bad. And Russell actually was effective tonight, I thought. So he was okay, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to even compare those two right now. There's just no comparison. You hope that one day Russell can be 70 to 80% of the player that Curry is right now.
I'll steer the conversation in this direction then. If I'm the Lakers organization, Jameson, and I'm watching the success that Steph Curry has had with a team essentially designed completely around his skill set, including the coaching staff, how am I not taking notes and saying, yeah, that's this Byron guy, probably shouldn't stick around very much longer?
I mean, you'd have to be, right? It's tricky trying to model yourselves after the Warriors too much because it's so, like, Steph Curry's just got such a crazy gravitational pull. He's just such a transcendent, unique player. Mm-hmm. But I mean, at some point, you would have to imagine the Lakers are going to be forced, dragged, pushed, whatever, kicking and screaming into the modern era of NBA basketball, and it's really even I feel like I don't have the numbers on this, but I feel like Byron Scott's huddles weren't shown nearly as often as Luke Walton's huddles. I think there might be something to that.
There was, I forget who had the tweet. I think it was Drew Unga who said that Byron just walks in at halftime, writes man up on the whiteboard, and walks out of the locker room. That sounds about right.
Network followed up that on the way out he says, "Good job, Kobe. Keep it up."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the coaching or lack thereof is pretty tough not to notice in a game like this, and this kind of brings us to what I think is the most interesting conversation that could come about from this game. Is there's a lot of clamoring for Luke Walton. There's a lot of it. It's all over Twitter. Hashtag future Laker coach it might be trending at this very moment, and Harrison, I think you and I slightly disagree on this. Jameson, we'll start with you and see where you kind of side on in the conversation. What do you think?
And then one of us will yell at you when you disagree with them.
Yeah, get ready for that. But Luke Walton, future Laker coach, yay or nay?
I mean, it's tough to say at this point. It's hard to separate, his coaching performance from just having a ridiculously talented and complete team. Having said that, he also could have screwed it up by now, and he hasn't. And so there's something to be said for the, getting out of your own way, which is something that the Lakers' current coach is not able to do. It really is tough to say. I don't know. It's because Luke Walton hasn't really. I read a stat. I read something earlier today. He actually gets zero credit for the wins, I guess, due to some odd like
Yeah,
none of this actually counts technically, but
he could
it's been
win Coach of the
impressive for
Year.
sure.
He could
It's been
win Coach of the Year for no wins.
But yeah, but that's actually, I don't need to see like a full season out of him to like, see if it's worth taking a flyer out of him. And I think that kind of mindset is what gets kind of frustrating when people do throw out options for future Laker head coaches. People start listing off these names of retreads, and it's like I can't think of any other profession where, oh, let's look at all the people who have recently been fired from their jobs and see if they're a good candidate for this job, like the exact same type of job, NBA head coach. Like, I would love for them to take a flyer on someone like a Luke Walton, like someone from the college ranks, some really hot assistant, something like that. Just take a chance, like look how great Brad Stevens is working out in Boston, something like along those lines, as opposed to like, well, we want an established name.
Yeah, I think CEOs, American CEOs, for some reason, are retread like basketball coaches. I think I read an article about that somewhere. But Harrison, I agree with what Jameson said. It's tough for me to isolate Luke's actual coaching ability from what he was put in front of him. I'll start with this question: if Byron were put in Luke Walton's situation, do you think Byron would shoot himself in the forehead with a shotgun as he has so far with the Lakers?
I got graphic really quick.
Yeah, that's how that saying goes.
Usually they say shoot in the foot, Anthony. I don't know what's up with your
Hey,
family, but
have you watched his coaching?
that's a fair point.
He mans it up and shoots for the head.
I'm with you guys that you can't. It's hard to separate Luke's success with the current team that he's on, because obviously we saw them win the title last year. The Warriors are amazing. They're one of the best teams in NBA history. I don't think that it's that hard to say that right now. But I subscribe to the theory that Jameson kind of mentioned earlier. I think Bill Simmons was the first one to give it massive voice, that one of the key factors for an NBA coach is, like you said, not getting in his own way and not getting in his team's way. Just don't mess up the talent. And I think to a degree, Byron has definitely done that with the Lakers, and Luke hasn't with the Warriors. He didn't come in there and try and implement new stuff. He came in and said, let's try and keep doing what we're doing. Let's keep having fun playing basketball, and let's go out there and be awesome, because we're awesome. And I think that just that not getting in the way, there is something to that.
Interesting quote that just crossed my Twitter timeline from Serena Williams, who accredits the question to John Ireland. He asked Nick Young what the Lakers could do better. Nick Young says, "We can't let one guy determine everything. We have to play as a team. It can't be like a video game and you're playing with your favorite player, We've all got to share the ball." And part of that, obviously, is a shot at Kobe. Like, that's the obvious guy that he's talking about. But you kind of have to wonder if he's kind of telling Byron, hey, buddy,
Hey, you want to share the controller?
Yeah.
Hit player switch. It's A. Hit A.
Exactly. No, I think...
But what's hilarious is that it's bad enough that that's coming from Nick Young, whose basketball philosophy can best be described as playing in 2K with your favorite player.
It's the irony on the line here is great.
He's right, but it's like the pot calling the kettle black.
Right.
All right, so let's say, I guess we already asked, how Byron would handle the situation if he were in, because Luke Walton is a placeholder right now by every literal definition of the term. And I think part of the issue with Byron that comes across in his quotes and how he talks to people is this whole super ego kind of thing. And what I think Luke should get more credit for is the willingness to step aside and say that, you know what, the situation is bigger than me. And in that sense, I think that is where Byron would kind of trip on himself, where he, that's not how this would go. Is that a fair criticism, Jameson?
No, definitely. I mean, I don't think that if Byron Scott was coaching the Warriors, that they'd be 2-12 or whatever the record is. But
Yeah.
it's like kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about how like every now and then you'll see them, the Lakers, for example, start to try and run something like a horns or a pick and roll or something like that that's about to start something good, and then it's almost as if like they hear Byron's voice in their head like saying like, no, don't do that, isolate, do something, it's
Yeah.
so yeah, no, there's definitely some validity to that.
The possession that stands out to me in that respect was they were running some kind of set where they were running some kind of triple action screen, a triangle kind of set screen on the weak side, and Brandon Bass had the ball at about 22 feet from the basket, and he held it there for 10 seconds, and it turned into some kind of step back shot. But yeah, it's like we should do this, but nah.
The big problem with the Lakers is even when Byron Scott tries to go modern, it's a disaster. Like with Bass at small ball. Somebody asked me on the Silver Screen and Roll account, do you think that him putting in Brandon Bass at center, what do you think the percentage chances are that he can be our Draymond Green? And he put in that lineup with Bass at center versus Green at center, and it was the Warriors killer lineup versus the Lakers suicide lineup, and that's when the Warriors really built their lead. It was just I don't know why the Lakers put in their best lineup, and so your answer is I'm going to throw Brandon Bass out here. He's really going to slow this down. Okay, he's been amazing. Did you see that dunk he had last game?
The best part about as that was going on was that the guys calling the game said that Byron was using that to match up with Draymond at the 5. And I'm like, actually, he's been doing that every single game. It's not something he's trying out and adjusting with right now. It's literally the biggest mistake he's been making night in, night out. And you guys are giving him way too much credit. So, all right. On a scale of 1 to 10, we'll wrap up this discussion, and we'll move on to the last little tidbit of the show. Jameson, on a scale of 1 to 10, Byron Scott is fired tomorrow. Let's say hypothetically, he won't be, but he should be, but he won't be. Luke Walton, the Warriors grant permission to interview with Luke Walton for whatever reason. On a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you with that being a potential hire?
It's tough to answer because in this hypothetical world, I'm just drunk with happiness that Byron Scott is no longer the coach of the Lakers. That like the first person who walks in the door is going to get the job. Like Mike Brown could come back and be like, "I'm back," and like I'd be like, "Oh,
hey guys, I brought back the Chick-fil-A."
Yeah. So is the scale of 1 to 10 how happy with the decision I would be, or?
Yeah, happy, comfortable, whatever. 10 being the most, 1 being the least.
I don't know. I'd give it like a 7, 6.5, something like that. Just again, part of that is just pure elation from Byron being gone. But again, it's hard not to get super high on Luke right now, just because he's the Warriors look so great. They look so great, but again, we haven't seen a ton from him, X's and O's and strategy-wise over the course of an entire season, and then eventually, obviously, a playoff series. So it's tough to say, but I don't know. I guess I'd give him the benefit of the doubt, give him on the positive side of the ledger, give him at least a 6.
Harrison, before I ask you that same question, did you see the timeout session that they did have of Luke Walton, where he said, "Guys, we're kind of playing like we aren't like full on playing selfishly, but we're we're like right on the edge there. Let's, instead of like going for that good shot, let's hold out and hold for a great shot." And I'm just thinking, like, in the most Luke Walton way possible, he just described every single problem with the Lakers offense, and it was fantastic. I thought it was great. But yeah, go ahead, same question.
How comfortable tomorrow?
Go one more time. So yeah, so how comfortable? So Byron Scott is fired tomorrow. Luke Walton is hired immediately. How comfortable would you be?
I'd say probably 7.
7?
7's a passing grade. I think I'd give that higher a passing grade. I think that we know enough that it's worth kicking the tires on him versus a retread, especially since I don't really like many of the retreads that are out there right now.
Mhm.
So just like we talked about, a fresh face I think would be good. And he's shown that he can at least just he if he sees something that works, like the Warriors' best lineups, he's going to continue to use it. He's not going to make changes for the sake of change. And maybe he's good at coaching, despite all other evidence that, like during his playing career, when he seemed like this super laid-back dude that just didn't really care about a whole lot. Maybe he actually has the right temperament for a head coach in today's NBA.
That's highly possible. I do think that his temperament lends itself really well to this era of, like sometimes I get kind of frustrated watching Stan Van Gundy having a heart attack on the sideline over there. It'd be hard to play for that guy. And then the Byron Scott looks like he's cool, calm, and collect in there, but that's because there's not a literal,
You
not
would
an
describe it
actual
as
Well,
cool, calm, and collect. I would describe it as fuming.
I'd say like
boiling
comatose.
on the inside. I feel like.
I'd say comatose would be something closer to it. But yeah, I watched Luke, and even when we were watching, I don't know if you guys watched that game where he had that comeback against the Clippers, and he's going up. You have to. There's an adjustment being made when you go from being down 23 to winning by, I think they won by 8, and he never really looked like he lost his cool, or he never looked in control of the situation. He deserves credit for that. So in that small sample size, which actually involves coaching, I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. All right, so the show is always going to be on the shorter end because of the game what we were talking about. So Jameson, we're going to have you on for a show that has a little bit more going on than Kobe literally
Sure.
boring us and depressing us to tears.
Well, if you want something real quick,
Go ahead.
we do have Byron Scott and D'Angelo Russell disagreeing on playing time.
What's that?
We have Byron Scott and D'Angelo Russell disagreeing on playing time. Byron earlier tonight said that he thought the score was too big for D'Angelo to go back in. He didn't think that those types of reps would help his development. And D'Angelo told Mark Medina of the LA Daily News, you guys should all be following him for Lakers updates, that he thought guys who played in the fourth quarter deserved the minutes, but Russell admitted that any reps will help his development. So
it goes without saying.
It goes without saying, but it's something that he said it and publicly disagreed with what the coach was saying.
I wonder how long that answer was. I wonder if one certain media member was content with how long Russell spoke on that response. No, it's good. Honestly, I like D'Angelo stepping up and showing a little fire there and saying to his coach, dude, I don't get better by sitting on the bench. Like that's a good thing in my opinion. Now we'll see how long, how many sprints Byron makes D'Angelo. All right, over under. Let's play that.
Imagine how good Steph Curry could be if he just got benched more.
Over under 50 suicides for D'Angelo Russell in their next practice, Jameson.
I'm going to go under because Byron's just not going to even acknowledge that anything was said, and he's just going to go about his day. Wait, no, but really, what?
I'm going to take the over. They're off till Friday. He doesn't care about tiring out his leg.
That's true. That's true. What's it actually going to take for this to end with the whole Byron Scott era? Like, we always talk about it. We all agree that he's not the right coach for this team. But like, what's it actually going to take for there's something to be done? I mean, is it going to be the players revolting in the locker room? I mean, what actually has to happen here?
Well, we're starting to hear a few rumors and whispers about the team not being very happy with how Kobe's being managed. And that was something that was a constant. That was a criticism of Byron's by the end of his tenure in every single situation he was run out of. And, seeing how he runs Brandon Bass out there at the 5, game in, game out, regardless of all the statistical understanding it, how terrible that is, he can't. I don't think he's capable of learning a lesson from that kind of mistake. What would it take for you, Harrison? We can go comic and we can go actual what we think it would take.
I know that this is the easy way out, but I have honestly no clue. They've let it go on like this, and he's clearly not the coach for the future of this team. I don't know what it would take. It's this the amount that they've put up with, from his quotes about Russell all the time to benching him in the fourth quarters for no reason, to just how antiquated he's coming off in almost every aspect of the game. I don't know.
Yeah,
They've stuck with him this long. I think he makes it through the season. Honestly, I think it would take like a 20-game losing streak for them to do something.
the only reason I would say I'd be okay with him lasting through the season, and it would take an innumerable amount of whiskey to get me through the entire season. But the reason I don't know they fire him is because of the type of coaches that are out there right now. I just don't think that there's anybody that they're in some crazy hurry to hire. And if they get another bad coaching, like if the front office screws up a coaching decision again, I don't know if Mitch Kupchak lasts through that kind of situation. At some point, it's like somebody up there's got to go. And this is now what, the third coach in how many years that has been fired? That's not a good look.
I believe like 7. Is it 7? 5?
Are we counting the Bernie Bickerstaff era?
Yeah, so like
the greatest winning percentage of all time, I will say.
Yeah, I mean they replaced that guy for Mike D'Antoni, who blamed D'Antoni for everything.
If they fired Byron, who would even take over for like the interim period?
Kobe.
He retires, immediately hired as head coach.
Right.
Yeah. No, Magic would come back.
Oh, God.
They give him another shot. He knows
Magic
what it takes
Hour
to get.
2.0.
I don't know. That's a good question. But no,
that's the thing. That's why I think he makes it out the season. If nothing else, who on the bench as an assistant is going to step in right now?
Yeah.
Phil Pressey?
I honestly, this is the first time in a long time I can't name an assistant coach off the top of my head.
There's him. There's Thomas Scott, Byron Scott's son, who I somehow don't think that they're going to tap as interim coach if they let his dad go.
Wait, Thomas Scott is on the coaching staff?
Yeah, you didn't know that? He's one of their assistants.
God, the Lakers just scream nepotism everywhere. You're related, you get a job. You're related, you get a job.
The players seem to really like him for what it's worth.
It's such a stupid organization. All right, I'm not going to get myself in trouble. But
it's interesting you mentioned Mitch earlier. That's something nobody really talks about. Mitch has kind of been thought of as untouchable, and don't get me wrong, I'm not calling for Mitch's job or anything like that. But it's like, that is something to think about. I mean, I've honestly never even thought about the possibility that Mitch Kupchak could be on any kind of hot seat, just because he seemed like he's been such a made man for so long. But I don't know. I mean, I wonder if that's on the table after another year or two of this,
Yeah, something has to give there. Something has to. And I would say they've drafted, their personnel moves haven't been that terrible, but the coaching disasters have just been. All right, so we mercifully do not have another Lakers game to watch until after Thanksgiving. So we've. So aside from that, as Lakers fans, what are we most thankful for? Jameson, we'll go ahead and start with you.
I'm thankful for the fact that Tony Romo is back, and I get to watch the Cowboys on Thursday. It's a long-standing tradition.
You're a Cowboys and a Lakers fan? You're an awful person.
I know, right? I like the two most, popular / hated franchises in the world. Yeah, I mean, grew up in LA, have family from Texas, so I mean, I have legit ties, I guess.
Jameson is as Texas a name as you're gonna find. Like that's a pretty strong. Like Austin might be better.
I always thought it was more like urbanite, debonair, kind of like I always like that's why I don't introduce myself as Jameson to people. In real life, I actually go by Jamie when I meet people, but internet, everyone on the internet knows me as Jameson. But
gotcha. Well, I know how that goes. Harrison, what are you thankful for?
I am thankful for the lack of injuries on the Lakers this year. Were we going sports or like?
No.
Yeah.
I am thankful for my.
I was like, I could go life stuff, but I don't think people care about that.
No, I was just honestly. This is gonna sound terrible, and I'm gonna get a whole bunch.
Oh,
of
maybe
stuff
stop. Maybe after last show.
No, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm necessarily that thankful that nobody is injured. Like, it might help.
That was Anthony Irwin. Clarification,
Oh, God.
Anthony Irwin that just said
No,
that
all right.
for our iTunes.
I honestly, I would never wish actual injury on people, but you know, if somebody pulled a hamstring and Tarek Black got some more minutes, like that wouldn't be terrible. Now, I guess this is as bittersweet, as thankfulness gets or gratefulness gets. I guess the word is gratitude there, English major, but I am thankful, even though it's insanely depressing, watch Kobe play and just being awful always. It's still good to get that opportunity to kind of say goodbye. Like we know now that this is the swan song. This is it. This is the last time we're ever going to see this guy play. And in that sense, it's nice to be able to tell my favorite player of all time, adios, dude. So let's just see if he can turn it around. But it is nice, to kind of build off of what Harrison said. It's nice that Kobe isn't injured, and the last we're heading into the offseason wondering, will he, won't he play? We know now that he's not coming back, and that gives everybody the flexibility to move on and the opportunity to say goodbye. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Anything else before we call it a show?
Nope.
All right.
I got nothing. We talked too much about that game.
We did. That show went way too long. The Luke conversation's fun. It's something that I think is.
Yeah, we talked about more general Lakers issues. It was, there wasn't much game-wise to talk about.
Yeah, the Lakers.
So hopefully you guys all enjoy that.
For the actual recap of the game, the Lakers stink. The Warriors are former champions and will probably repeat. And the game went accordingly. So have fun there, everybody. I'd like to thank Jameson for joining us tonight. Jameson, we're going to have you on when the game is actually interesting or somewhat interesting.
Would love to.
And then, Jameson is I'm not sure people know, are you still driving Uber?
I do that, yeah. Not as much as I used to, but occasionally, yeah.
All right, well, we're going to have to, we'll set some time aside for Jameson's Uber stories, which are always fun. Those are always great. Just don't get me fired.
A Lakers blogger near you could pick you up when you're super drunk in downtown LA.
See what lurks the streets outside of Staples Center.
Yeah. We also thank you very much, Harrison, for joining us again tonight. It's always fun.
Thanks, Anthony.
And thank you everybody for listening. There is no Friday Lakers Lounge today, or this week because of the holiday. But next week we have a very special guest lined up for you. I don't like giving guests out before it actually happens because I don't want any kind of undue pressure on the guest. But you guys will really enjoy that one. So thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. We will talk to you again Friday after the game after the Lakers take on whoever they take on. See you guys.